Last time, we simply discussed the concept of scientific notation in significant figures. If you haven't checked that video, please consult the video presentation that is prepared before this video presentation. Now, for the second topic, for the first module, which is Module 1, Measurement, we are now going to talk about the concept of conversion of units. Now, whenever we are actually converting different units, it is very important for us to understand here the different rules on how metric and even English systems can actually be converted to one another. Why? Whenever we are talking about conversion of units, it is actually very vital not only here in the Philippines but also in the different parts of the world. Since there are actually different types of units that are being used on different parts of the world, for instance in the Philippines, we are commonly using here Celsius as our temperature scale, while in the United States of America, they are using Fahrenheit scale. We are going to convert different units for us to avoid different types of discrepancy and for our values to have accuracy as well as precision. Now, in the case of conversion of units, let's simply start with the first one. How are we going to convert SI units utilizing prefixes? Now, we are going to follow a step-by-step guide on how we are going to answer this particular type of problem, which involves conversion of units. Now, whenever we are going to convert SI units utilizing different prefixes, on page number 5 of your module, there are actually different prefixes that are evident, which are possessing different abbreviations and at the same time, different values. If you can still recall, whenever we are considering a value which is equivalent to 10 raised to 2, it is just equivalent to the movement of decimal places 2 steps to the right. Okay? So for instance, going back as a review, if we have a value of 1.25 times 10 raised to positive 2, this is also equivalent to 125 since we move the decimal places 2 place values to the right. Okay? So these are the things that you're going to consider when it comes to the abbreviation and at the same time the values of the different prefixes according to the SI unit. SI unit is the standard set of units that is being used in scientific investigations. And this is commonly used also here in the Philippines. The SI unit, it is also known as the metric system of measurement. Let's consider conversion of different units. Let's have letter A, sample number 1. How are we going to convert 500 meters to kilometers? If you're going to use now the conversion factor that 1 kilometer is also equivalent to the prefix which is kilo, and the prefix kilo is equivalent to 10 raised to 3. So it simply means that in every 1 kilometer, we have here 10 raised to 3 value of meters. The addition of 3 zeros. Then, adding the base unit which is meter. Okay, so this is now the value of 1 kilometer. And this is what we are going to use on our conversion unit. Okay, so remember, 1 kilometer is equivalent to 1,000 meters. Okay, do not forget that part. Now, since 1 kilometer is equivalent to 1,000 meters, let's now proceed with the conversion. The first thing that you're going to write on the conversion, the value of the unit that you want to convert on the left side. We're going to start with 500 meters. Okay? Then you are going to multiply this with our conversion factor that is present here. This is known as the conversion factor. Okay? We're going to multiply this with 1 kilometer over 1,000 meters. Always remember that the value of the unit that you want to convert and its particular unit should be aligned with the unit that is present on the denominator. Okay? So that later on, you can cancel them out. Okay? How are we going to cancel them out? Since this value is already present here, and this is also equivalent to 500 meters over 1. If we're going to follow the proper fractions, we can now cancel the numerator to the denominator. It will now be 500 meters over 1,000 meters. Then, if we're going to write this, it will now be equivalent to 0.5 kilometers. And this is now your answer for this particular problem. It is 0.5 kilometers. For you to also check this, remember that kilometer, it is also equivalent to 10 raised to 3. And if it is now present on the denominator, it will now be equivalent to its negative value, which is negative 3. That is why from 500 meters, we are now going to move the decimal places, since this is negative, 3 steps from right to left, which will simply give us the place value of 0.500 meters, or simply known as 0.5 meters if you're going to round it off. It is as simple as that. So that is how we are going to convert SI units utilizing prefixes. That is for our first sample. The second one, let's now convert 1.3 kilograms to grams. Grams, it is now the base unit. Okay? And whenever we are considering here now the presence of this particular problem, we can now observe here that the value of the one that we want to convert is definitely larger than the value of the unit that is present on the product side of the equation. Now, what are we going to do when it comes to this? We're just going to apply here the concept of the exponent. Since this is kilo, it is also equivalent to 10 raised to 3, or in every 1 kilogram to 1,000 grams. So this will be the conversion unit that we are going to use. If we already settled that 10 is raised to 3, and at the same time, 1 kilogram is equivalent to 1,000 grams, how are we going to write now our equation? We're going to start once again with the value that we want to convert, which is 1.3 kilograms. Then, if you can still remember earlier on the conversion that we did on 1A, where should we place the different values that are present here? If the kilogram here is present on the numerator, where should we write on the second part of the equation or of the mathematical sentence the value that is possessing the kilogram sign? We're going to place it on the denominator. Since kilogram is present on the numerator on the first part of our mathematical sentence, for it to be cancelled out, we should place the kilogram unit on the denominator on the second part of the equation, in which our value is 1 kilogram. Then 1,000 grams, we're going to place it on the numerator. Then, just simply cancel the sign, then multiply 1.3 to 1,000, which will now give us 1,300 grams. Or, you can simply multiply 1.3 times 10 raised to 3 grams. Okay, since this is our value. Then, you're going to have 1,300 grams also for your answer. Why is this the case? because the value of the one that you want to convert is definitely larger than the product unit. So that is for the first one, converting SI units utilizing prefixes. That is for the first step. Now, on the next part, we're now going to convert SI units utilizing various formulas. Specifically, we are going to talk about here conversion of temperature. Okay, since temperature is actually possessing different types of manifestations and different types of conversions depending upon what type of formula we should use. Now, let's answer letter B, number 1. Convert 100 degrees Celsius to Kelvin and degree Fahrenheit. Let's simply convert first 100 degrees Celsius to Kelvin. The formula that we are going to utilize here is, it is now the value of the degree Celsius plus the constant value for Kelvin, which is 273.15. Then you're going to arrive with the answer. As simple as that. Okay? So, if we're going to convert 100 degrees Celsius to Kelvin, we're just going to have 100 degrees Celsius plus 273.15. It will now give us the value of 373.15 Kelvin. Okay, so this is now our answer for letter B, number 1, part A. Degree Celsius to Kelvin. Now, how are we going to convert 100 degrees Celsius to degree Fahrenheit? For us to do this, we are now going to follow this particular formula. We have the value of degree Celsius times 9 over 5 plus 32. It's now equivalent to the value of the degree Fahrenheit. So this is the formula that we are going to utilize for letter B, number 2, part B. Okay, now, how are we going to do this? Let's substitute the terms. 100 degrees Celsius times 9 over 5 inside the parenthesis plus 32, which will now give us the value of 212 degree Fahrenheit. So that is for letter B. Now, lastly, let's proceed to letter C. How are we going to convert metric to English or English to metric systems? Now, this is somewhat complicated. If we're going to check the appendix that is present on the last page of this module, there are different conversion units that are actually available there. That will be your handy guide when it comes to conversion of different units from metric to English and English to metric. You just need to have your proper computation devices for you to answer those problems. Now, let's have letter C, number 1. How are we going to convert 2 feet to centimeters? When it comes to this conversion, we can now actually tell the following terms. When it comes to 1 foot, it is equivalent to 12 inches. And 1 inch, it is equivalent to 2.54 centimeters. So these are the different conversion factors that we are going to utilize for this particular item. Now, how are we going to write this? The usual rule. We're going to start with 2 feet. Since this is present on the numerator, we are going to multiply this with the conversion factor that we know. We're going to place foot, unit foot, on the denominator since the feet is present on the numerator. Now, 1 foot is equivalent to 12 inches. Or, let's simply use this. 12. Foot, they are using one apostrophe to represent foot, while two apostrophes to represent inches. Once again, this is equivalent to foot or feet. Then two apostrophes, it is now equivalent to inches. Then, since we have here on the numerator the inches, we're going to write it obviously on the denominator. 1 inch is equivalent to how many centimeters? It is 2.54 centimeters. Do the math. 2 feet times 12 inches. The units will simply be discarded. They will be cancelled. Then, 12 inches to 1 inch. The units will also be cancelled. So, the remaining unit here will be the centimeter. And, our final answer, it would be equivalent to 60.96 centimeters. Okay, so that is actually how you're going to utilize your conversion factors, and at the same time, the table for conversion that is present on the last page of your module. Okay, do not worry. I am also going to provide a copy of this conversion unit on our Google Classroom. Just consult it properly. Okay? So, there. Basically, that is how we are going to convert different units. And just consult your modules and try to answer the practice makes permanent. And do not forget to answer your worksheet number 2. Because for worksheet number 2, you are just going to convert here different units. Okay? This conversion will be submitted, this worksheet will simply be submitted on next Wednesday. So do not forget to answer those questions and worksheets. Okay? Once again, for this week, I am just going to collect only the worksheets. I am not going to collect the practice makes permanent part of your module, of your assessment. I need the worksheets number 1, worksheet number 2, and worksheet number 3. Okay, so those are the only things that you are going to submit to me. If ever you will forget this, some announcement will be available also once again on your Google Classroom. So, that's the end of our discussion for this particular part. I hope you enjoy this and try it out for yourself. Thank you.